No, you're not seeing things. We are back for round two on Sportswire Radio for our doubleheader of wrestling coverage. And for good reason, because our guest, we just saw him literally on our screens about, I don't know, an hour ago. And he wrestled here, a part of the group, the tag team Unholy, which has got an old face that's a familiar face that's back again. And we're going to talk what's the future of Unholy plus his own decorated career that has led him to being a two-time tag team champion, an international champion, a new age champion, two times an extreme champion, and he even does things in the paranormal world. We're going to talk about all of that here and some. Our guest is as evil as Charles Manson, as creepy as Marilyn Manson. He even hunts the paranormal, but he moves like Rey Mysterio. That's why it's time to give him that introduction that everybody else has gotten here on Sportswire Radio, and especially to kick off the week here of XCW coverage on Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. So with that, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show. They call him the Scarecrow of XCW from the group Unholy. His name is DJ Wolbert. My friend, how are you?
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you for having me on and everything, but I'm doing great. How about you?
Ask me how my voice is doing in a little while because I just did
That
almost
was
2 hours.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you very much. I almost did 2 hours
Absolutely.
just before with Aaron Jones, and I'm like, how am I going to pull this off? He asked me the same question. I'm like, well, stay tuned. But obviously, even the cat's interested on this one here. But DJ
I
Wolbert,
know.
well, because people want to hear you. But, DJ, there's a lot to talk about here. But, I got to go to the burning question here, especially for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire, especially those of us here like myself who are XCW fans, a part of the galaxy, and just watched you in Encounters Episode 4. And it looks like an old face and a familiar face is now back in Unholy. Shane Saw, who helped you win those tag team titles back at SummerMania, is back with yourself and Mistress Candy. Everybody's got a Candy crush, obviously. We know that. But, I mean, you guys go out there and return in the ring against the Midwest Express, and unfortunately, it wasn't what we hoped for. So I have to ask you basically the burning question here, and what is the future of Unholy after what we saw in Encounters Episode 4?
I love the fact that I brought back Shane Shaw and the fact that I'm teaming up with him because Shane is my good friend outside of XCW
Sure.
and everything. So I enjoy doing that with my good friend and everything. But once Tucker kind of up and left, it was kind of like
what do you do?
What's up now? When I get to the arena and I find out that he's no longer there, that's news to my ear. So then I got to find out I'm teaming up with Shane again. And well, he turned on me at Halloween Harvest. And here we are. And I have to team with him again. And we're trying to get back along. But at the same time, there's still that target on the back to where he did turn on me and he did forearm me. So there's always that chance that he could always turn on me again.
And it felt like also, I don't know, when watching the match against the Midwest Express, I was talking to you about this off the air team I actually know really well. What a small world. Although at this point, it's Sportswire, I think I know everybody at this point that's wrestling all around. And Jordan Netz and Jason Myers, two people. And Jordan I've had on the show. And Jason I know very well because he's wrestled many people I know from the IMF in that company. But I mean,
I love guys too. Like I said, I love those guys.
Yeah, they're great wrestlers, and I'm not taking anything away from them. I know those guys very well, and I'll probably have them on next week in an IMF related show. But I mean, Shane looked like he wrestled a little bit different from the last time we saw him at Halloween Harvest. He had a little bit more of an attitude to him, a little bit more of a seriousness. I mean, can you talk about that? Because I did feel like from what we saw tonight from Shane Shaw in the Match at Encounters episode 4, which we'll plug in a second, obviously where to watch that match. Talk to me about what you saw from Shane in the ring that maybe could lead to more success for you guys in 24.
Here's my thing. I know Shane's been training since he's been away from XCW, and he wants to come back full on to where he's better and he knows more what he's doing, and he proved that at Encounters. And that just kind of shows that, like, with him doing that then, and, like, it was pretty impressive. And the fact that, like, he's getting better now and getting better with the flow. And for the fact that if somebody's going to shit on him because, oh, I don't think he's good, I don't this and that, is bullshit. And I'll confront that too to any of those people, because, like, it's like at the same time, it's like, well, he's training and the guy is passionate about what he's doing. And that's the thing I love about Shane Shaw.
Are you telling me that we know the history of what happened when you guys lost the tag team titles? We're going to get to that team certainly in a little while, and we've had them on, and one of those individuals is actually in our Sportzwire Radio Hall of Fame. I'll get to that, but with everything that happened, and I'm going to come back to Jaden Tucker in a second, but with everything that happened with you and Shane Shaw back at Halloween Harvest, I mean, are you sure, though, that you can trust him? Even though you said from in the back of your mind, things can happen. But from what we saw tonight, did he do enough of a job that we will see you guys to continue as a tag team, you think?
See, that's the thing. The fact that he's my friend, it doesn't mean the fact that we're still, like, connected in the ring together, because there's always that target on the back.
Absolutely.
And, well, I don't know, come cold day in hell. We'll see how that turns out. So going forward, Unholy is, well, still a thing, but right now things are just, like, going down. We haven't been really looking too good lately.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because, you guys win the titles at SummerMania. You hold the belts, but you only hold them for a short amount of time because the Essential One, Rob Slater, who you guys were basically trying to get him to join your side, winds up getting an old friend who he was kind of hoping for would come to his side. A man you have obviously also a lot of history with this past season, and Justin Parsley, and they take the titles from you, and you weren't able to get them back. You tried, even though you had Mandy under a spell, and we'll definitely get into all that. But you guys pretty much, after you lost the belts in late September, haven't really had much success. There really hasn't been much moments that you, whether it was Shane or Tucker, obviously who's no longer with us in the company, have had really much success. So, I mean, like, you had to have thought about this a lot and kind of, how do we get back on track? Because, again, after you lost the belts, there hasn't been much success from you, whether it's Shaw or Tucker, leaving aside Candy and Unholy. Talk to me about that.
I will say, since Tucker's, like, gone now, I feel like I have a better chance of winning back the titles if it ever happened with Shane. Because I don't like Tucker, like don't get me wrong, like, he's like my good friend and all, but the fact that he backed out on me the last minute and goes to say something. And I feel like he could have been the reason why this and that. I mean, there's been a few spots to where, I mean, things didn't go too well with me and Tucker.
Sure.
So now that me and Shane are back teaming, there's always that possibility of possibly winning the tag titles again, but you never know.
I'm gonna get to those titles because obviously those titles are certainly in a huge question mark. Obviously, I think the Foundation are giving those titles back to the real ones. Obviously, that the first real team will certainly get to them. No question about.
I think they're having a rematch at Encounters.
Yes, episode 11. It's going to be a tornado tag match, and they actually, I think the belts. I think Omen used the line, they're being shipped back actually to Parsley and Slade, actually physically getting the titles back. Whatever that complicated situation is, I'll let those guys sort itself out. But let me ask you a follow up when it comes to Jaden Tucker. I don't want to spend a lot of time on him because obviously he's past news. Wish him all the best, but maybe in a way, tell me your thoughts on this, DJ. Maybe it's actually better for you that Jaden Tucker is actually no longer a part of XCW, because now you can look back and say, okay, we didn't end the season the way we wanted. Unholy couldn't get the titles back from Slater and Parsley. Obviously, you guys fell short against the whatever they want to be called, the EBW rejects, the EBW hopefuls, Julian Boyd Jacobs and Mitchell Maverick to get that shot back. But maybe in a way, this allows you to focus and to kind of recalibrate into 24, no matter what happens with you and Shane Shaw, but that Jaden Tucker was kind of maybe he was the true weak link in Unholy, and by him kind of no longer being a part of with you guys, that maybe this allows you to have the success and focus on what you did that got you to tag team titles in the first place and has gotten you to a lot of success in your XCW career. What do you say to all that?
Exactly. No, I agree with that 100%. And that's what I was saying is that like now that me and Shane are back, it's a good thing that I mean we started Unholy, so it's kind of like what like I mean bringing Tucker in. I mean like I said, he's old news now, this and that. But I 100% agree with you on that though. I do.
Well, we're going to certainly find out. Let me say hello to some people before I forget. Speaking of, I think this is who is from Unholy. That is obviously Mistress Candy, so Unholy forever.
Yes.
So obviously, definitely we say hello to Mistress Candy. We're going to get to because she's been very impressive, by the way.
She's been great.
Yeah. She's had a great run. She might have actually had the best run of all of you in the group. I want to say hello to my buddy out there in the UK, Daniel Banner. Daniel had a birthday not too long ago. How you doing there, buddy? Speaking of people in Resurrection Wrestling, Drake Golddragon. He's getting ready for his show coming up on January the 27th, Resurrection. How you doing? Also, nice to meet you too. He says so. So obviously, let's talk about, in a way, let's tie a bow into 23 and look into 24. And collectively, how do you look at this year? Now, you had some gold. There was definitely some success. There was definitely some things, you did. Obviously Mandy, and, you kidnapped Mandy, and you were trying to, put this whole spell on Mandy. Mandy's dumped in blood, and, Mistress Candy certainly had a lot of success. I would say maybe the most success of the group collectively in the second half. But now that you've gotten a chance to reflect on 2023, the 20th season that it was in XCW, how do you feel the year went overall for you?
The year had its ups. Like I don't know. From starting out from the beginning, I felt like it was picking up, and then I felt like after SummerMania, the momentum just kind of went down. I don't know what that could exactly be, but I don't know. But it's a fact that my goals for 2024, to be honest,
I was going to get that to you because that's been my question to everybody that comes on. So what are your goals in 24 before I come back to 23?
So Shane Shaw, I love you, my man, but I'm ready to go solo at some point. I really am. It's time for DJ Wolbert to go solo again. I haven't been solo in almost 2 years now. I mean, since the
beginning of when you came back into XCW, because obviously I'm not going to get back into the past, but you've been doing a lot of tag work. I would say the majority of the comeback here in the second run.
Yep. This whole year.
So you feel like, in a way, and I'll get to more comments, I want to say hello to different people in a second from the locker room, and somebody else who's also a world champion. I want to say hello to him and congratulate him on his match actually in a second. But would it be fair for me to say that 2023 was kind of like, in a way, you'll appreciate this, kind of like a roller coaster? It was up and down for you. Sometimes it was really good. You were on highs, and other times, I think, unfortunately, like tonight in the second half of the season, it was like kind of like on the down low almost.
And that's how I felt too. And that's why my 2024, I hope it doesn't end up the way it ended up near August, because I'm like, then I was kind of getting burnt out. Just like,
why were you getting burnt down for? Why?
I feel like I'm doing this and not getting recognized, but at the same time, like, I feel worthy of being there, but at the same time, I feel like I could be doing more with the company.
What would you like to do more? I mean, would you want to elaborate on that for the audience, especially for the Galaxy? What would you like to do that maybe you haven't done more of or haven't done at all? What would you like to do?
And I could be saying this because I'm being biased. I mean, because I've been in a tag team for a while. It's been a while since I've done anything by myself, and that could be the possibility too. But besides that, like 2024, like I'm pretty focused and determined on making this the best year yet of me being in XCW. And I've been with XCW since 2017, and I was going to say here to be my very best. And come cold day in hell, I don't know if that'll turn out good for the Unholy or bad for the Unholy, but either way, I want to make it the best for Unholy.
Well, speaking of that real quick, and I promise I'm going to get to everybody in a second, and we are here with right now DJ Wolbert, the Scarecrow of XCW, and if you want to watch Encounters episode 4, you can do that here in a number of different ways, especially on the XCW YouTube page, which is very simple, at XCW Shelbyville. XCW has now over 1,400 subscribers. Go out there and support this company. XCW is the gold standard of this sport, and XCW time and time again on Sportswire Radio, I praise, even with my guest before, Aaron Jones of VTW and DBW, I was telling Mr. Jones, we got to see more VTW and XCW crossover, but certainly we're here with DJ Wolbert. And then, I guess then talking about some of the things you just said, I mean, how do we get there in a way? I mean, also, and another point I want to bring up is, who would you want to wrestle maybe that you haven't yet?
I've really been looking at Leon Lux's work, and he's one guy
my God. Yep.
that kind of stands out, and I'm like, I'd love to mix it up with him. Hunter Halkin has always been like a target. I'm like, we're the same size almost, this and that. I mean, we could do some sick shit together.
With your moveset, with some of the things you do with those stage dives and those swantons and everything else you do, for no question about it, that I definitely think there's some stuff there. But I have to ask you a fun question a second. Was it weird seeing Vapor referee your match? Because that was like kind of like almost like this is your life almost.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I had no clue he was coming to the show, and when he was there, I seen him from a distance, and I had no clue who the hell he was. I was like, who's this dude? He comes up to me.
Was that a rib being played on you almost?
I know. He comes up to me, hey, DJ. I was like, oh, shit, you're Vapor. I was like, I did not recognize you. He looked totally different from last time I seen him. That's how long it's been. But, yeah, I was pretty, like, stoked when I seen him because, like, it's been so long.
And had that, like, and that's kind of weird to ask, and I will get to the comments in a second, but, I mean, like, did that change the way you looked at that match? Would it maybe give you some different? I know it's kind of hard in that moment, but when you see somebody that's refereeing your match that hasn't been in the company for almost 7 years and goes back to the early beginnings of your career, like, how does that, if at all, change your mindset going into that match?
Actually, I was like in the ring and in the heat of the moment, like I'm just like not really like paying attention to who's the ref almost. And it's like I almost forgot he was the ref because like after the match, I'm like, oh yeah, you did ref my match, yeah. Because I asked him, I was like, hey, how was my match? And like he refed it, so I was like, okay.
I guess that maybe I don't know if you'll have that happen again. There's a lot of things I can say for certainty, but I think one of the things for certainty I might say, DJ, is that I'm pretty sure that Vapor won't referee one of your matches again. I think it's kind of fair to say, probably.
That could be. I mean, those guys were pretty tough.
No, for sure. No, I'm going to get to them, but I want to say hello to people. Management is here, and I want to say hello to them. You can watch Encounters episode 4 again on the XCW YouTube page. If you want to support XCW, also XCW_Shelbyville. I have your social media up in a second. Twitter, XC Wrestling 1. Facebook, XCW Shelbyville. If you want to buy some merchandise as well, I put the link up here. xcwrestling1.wixsite.com/Shelbyville. It's all the information that you need there. Shane Shaw has been training like crazy. Could be someone to watch closely in 2024. We spoke about that. I mean, he's somebody that we could definitely be watching.
I think so, yeah.
I want to say hello to the ROEW World Heavyweight Champion, CJ Black, the good guy who defeated Jack Delta in the first match of the year, literally in 2024, and says that he thought he saw Marilyn Manson. Here I am. Do you often get that, by the way? Do you often get the Manson comparison?
I get it all the time. All the time.
It has it. Well, I would say in some ways now it might not make you feel good because obviously if you're following the news, he had some certainly issues, outside the music world. But I'm sure in a way,
innocent though.
What's that?
A lot of it's been proven wrong.
I mean, obviously, in terms of music, though, his musical influence is, legendary. I mean,
a big influence of mine. Anybody like will realize that like once they get to know me is that Manson like I'm a freak over Marilyn Manson. That's just down to it.
I remember. I'm old enough to remember when his prime was. I was in like junior high school. That period, like the Dope Show, and you
Oh
know, the
yeah.
beautiful people, all that stuff. So I remember it very well. So he was definitely, in fact, his ex guitarist now is actually the new guitarist for Motley
Yep.
Crue, John Five.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
thought
John
people would
Five.
really. And speaking of people, who I'm going to definitely get to very shortly. The first real wrestler, man, you have a lot of history, Wes.
Oh man.
Mr. Justin Parsley. Good evening to see two of my favorite friends. The feeling is mutual. This interview is a blessing and a I hope so. I mean, I'm going to talk a lot about you, Mr. Parsley. I would hope it will be. But speaking of people, I'm also going to see, by the way, got to plug him. He was also in the main event encounters, episode 4. Came up this close of winning that EBW world title. Mr. Jackson Law himself, he is going to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame as our 10th member. He says, hey, wants candy. He's kind of basically, well, we got some good things to say. Your ring work has improved greatly since you're returning from knee surgery. Do you want to talk about that for a second? Basically, the knee injury that you had and maybe how that's changed your ring ability, or how do you feel? Since I had Corey Leon, we spoke about his injury and how he came back from it a couple months ago, but do you want to elaborate for the audience kind of how you feel since you had knee surgery?
Oh man. My knee's a lot better. My left knee one is. I still have to have surgery on my right knee at some point down the road. Don't know when that is, but I know it's gonna have to happen at some point. But I just feel like I don't know something about it. The fact that like I came back more confident. I don't know, and it's like the fact that sometimes I think anxiety gets in the way of a lot of stuff of mine to achieve. And
Why do you say that for?
well, a lot of times like in the moment, like I may not like I'm trying to think the right way to put it, but I may not like do something. Say like my promo work, like don't get me wrong, like I admit that like I'm not the best at promo work. That's because
No,
like
I mean, I wasn't going to tell you that you were like, you weren't Justin Parsley on the microphone.
like I was telling my girlfriend just before this that like
Right.
I'm like terribly nervous to do
Well,
this,
don't.
but
Well, listen. I'm going to make you feel better. I'm going to make you feel a heck of a lot better. Don't be nervous because I'll take all the heat off you because if you've been
oh no,
following, I did basically a 20-minute shoot on like the politics of British independent wrestling on about 5 days ago. And it totally got me in like, half the people loved it, half the people hated it. So don't be nervous. Just think of it like having a conversation. And I promise you, I'll do all the embarrassing stuff for you. So
no,
don't
you were all good. You were all good. I appreciate you for having me on.
No, but I think that, it's interesting because, some people would work differently or they feel like they wouldn't be able to, let's say, off an injury like that, maybe be able to work the way you work. You don't just go out there and punch and kick. You go out there and do some really high spots. You go out there and do things in a way that, as I said, your moveset's, very much like a lucha libre. It's, Miano Diaz, another example, somebody that moves like what you do in the ring. I mean, so like, I'm surprised in a way that you're still able to do some of these things, even with the injuries. Talk about that.
Right. Like, I do say that my body feels it all the time. I mean, every day my back kills me.
Well, I was watching you in the ring tonight, and there was a point in the match. You looked like you made like a mannerism with your back. It was like, I think when you were on your back before the finish, you kind of like almost looked like you squinced almost, if you remember that spot in the match.
I don't think I remember that spot, but I do remember being on the outside. I don't know if it was because my knee pad fell down or not.
Yeah,
but
you kind of like rolled over. Yeah.
Right. But I do know that like getting this knee surgery done was the best option because now like I've come back and I've had a good run starting out. I mean the end of it all, I don't know, but I just gotta have the right mindset when I go out there to do what I do. Because I want to put on the best performance. And to me, like I've told people before, like it's really not about winning or losing. At the end of the day,
I agree with that. I agree with that.
A performance is better. I'd rather put on a good performance and lose every match than put on a shitty performance and win.
Oh, listen, I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's so much
I can be Nia Jax now. I mean, come on.
Listen, yeah, you could, yeah. Listen, you could go out there and win every match, but I think what people remember you most is for what you do in the ring, your quote unquote work rate and what you do in the certainly different spots. I think that's what sets you apart. as to why I think you could be a guy that could have a big 2024, maybe in the world of singles.
Yeah, I think so,
Mr.
yeah.
Mr. Law. I guess I'm going to call him Law at this point. He's the Law of the land. He says Captain Law on the YouTube screen, but I know him as Jackson Law in XCW. You and Hunter Halkin would be a slept-on banger, which I think,
I'd
maybe
be
that would
down.
be definitely. Let me get to CJ before I come back to some more things. He says he's been enjoying Encounters. Just have to catch up on episode 4. And by the way, I want to give a plug to ROEW if I could for a second, because ROEW guys have been on Encounters, like JX and Corey Lee. I mean, what a match. JX and Corey Lee might have had the second best match.
That match was good, yes.
Yeah, that was a great match. Corey Lee and JX. They had a phenomenal match. Obviously, your work against the Midwest Express. Also, Jacob Collins was out there, defeated Brady Brandt. So a lot of ROEW themed people. And obviously, the big one is, see who CJ Black defeated, the New Age champion, Jack Delta. So a lot of ROEW stars are on Encounters. That's why you have to follow ROEW on YouTube and Instagram at ROEW Backyard Wrestling. Also, especially on YouTube, where you can watch CJ Black and Jack Delta in the best match of the year so far in 2024. Check them out on their YouTube page. It's worth it, I promise you. I want to say hello to Skulls the Soul Hunter out there in California. Maybe you could use a Soul Hunter or two. Injury is a small setback, but you'll come back stronger. Let me get to this person here real quick, my friend, before I get to Justin. My friend Ethan Sorensen. What would be the most favorite and dangerous match you've had in your career so far?
That's a good question. I really think the fact that the trunk match I had, and it wasn't because of me, it was because of my opponent. And he's been on your show too, Anthony Still.
Yes, I know the name. Yes, I do.
After that match was over, I felt bad. I felt pretty.
I think last year, right? That was the match you and Steele had last year. I want to say
it was June of 2021. It was at Extreme King.
Right.
And it was when or it was 2022.
I thought it was last year. That was my point.
Yeah, it was 2022, and it was when I cut Anthony open. And man, when I tell you he bled like crazy,
I could see that.
I told him not to take medicine. And I don't know if he's watching this right now, but I told him not to take Tylenol, and he did it.
Well, you hunt paranormal. Why wouldn't he listen to you? You kind of know these things. You know the dead. I mean, why didn't he listen?
I know. But you know what? I'm DJ Wolbert, so I just went ahead and I did it.
All right, that's a good one. I think that was a good question. That was a good answer. Thank you for that. Let's get to some more things. I want to come back to Mr. Parsley, because Mr. Parsley is the third member of our Hall of Fame. Parsley, Wolbert, Kaufman has been the best story in XCW of the past 2 years. We busted ass telling story around management's vision and throwing in unique twists. I want to talk about this for a second.
100%.
Let's talk about this for a second, because I think Fletch even said this. Fletch, I think, said this maybe right around Parsley's comeback or afterwards. Parsley, what he does is that he's a great storyteller. What Parsley does is that he knows how to get the most out of something. Parsley may not be the number one wrestler. He may not be the number one out of everything, but what he's number one at is getting the most out of what he's in. But also, most importantly, here's where he's also number one. He's also number one at getting the most out of the person he's working with. So what that means for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, Parsley is good at getting anybody around him over and better. And that's why he's a Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. And that's why Justin Parsley is back in XCW. And that's why engagements are up in XCW. That's why XCW's following is up. That's why views, subscribers, all that stuff is up. Because when Justin Parsley is on a show, case in point, even Encounters episode 1 with the Foundation with Omen Black and Soldier GP, they were actually better, despite what happened in the match. They're actually better now because they worked with Parsley and Slater, because they never worked with somebody like Parsley and Slater before. So when they go off in all these other companies, they're now going to be far more adverse. And that's what Parsley does. And certainly your storyline with him throughout 2023, I think whether it was tag or singles, was a part of that.
Oh man, I have nothing but nice things to say about Justin Parsley. Like I love you, dude. Like you're the best. Yes. But the fact that I never knew him before the Kurt Acid memorial show we had, and he came up to me, introduced himself and everything, and he was like really polite with me, really cool. So I'm like, man, like this guy's really cool. We started hitting it up, just not talking, and like he came up with this big ideal that me and him had for greed of 2022.
Yep.
And that all transpired, and man, that turned out great. And we had the whole storyline when like we brought like Benji back from the dead, when we had all that, and like he just kept coming up with more and more ideals and ideals. Like it was insane. The fact that then we went over to his house, and we probably spent like the whole, like during the whole show, we were over at his house just making sure this promo was the best promo it could be.
What did you learn from that experience outside of that feud in terms of where you go through like the rest of your career, or even outside of XCW, from like working with somebody who's that detailed in that way? What do you learn?
I will say, ever since I met him, like I've met a new friend, by far, Justin Parsley. Like the dude, like I said, like I invited him out to one of my paranormal trips. Like hey,
I want to get to the paranormal.
I'm going to Ohio like next month. Come out.
Well, I'm gonna get to that, because there's actually, you're the second person that I've had on that's done paranormal, so I'm actually gonna get to that, for sure. But when it comes to somebody like a Parsley, in terms of like how much, I know you've been in XCW for a while, so it might be a little different than when I had, like, let's say Eric Mason that came on the show, is obviously, or a younger talent in XCW that's come on the show. Although you're younger, you've actually been here for a while, if that kind of makes sense. But what does Parsley bring to the table to XCW that helps the overall locker room get that much better?
If there was any guy in XCW besides Josh, of course, that I would be like, hey, like we need like another booker, like let's find a booker, I would instantly call Justin Parsley by far. If he had his own company right now, and I mean that.
He did at one point. He did at one point. Yeah,
I know. That would be off the roof, man. Like, dude, like I'm telling you right now, man. Like, I love the fact you're in XCW. I do, and it's the fact that like
finally
you were
admitted
not.
It. Listen, Fletch finally admitted it. Fletch finally admitted that he's happy Justin Parsley is here. I mean, think about.
And I told him that he's not going anywhere as long as I'm in XCW.
No, and you know what? We don't want Justin Parsley to go anywhere, and we don't want anybody to go anywhere from XCW. We also want people to follow DJ Wolbert on Instagram at Graveyard Condition, Facebook at Haunted Minds Paranormal, because that's where you can find out kind of these best of both worlds that DJ Wolbert is a part of. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters here on Sportswire Radio, which is the #1 global radio station and the host of the Sports Report. And if you like what you hear from us here, we're on YouTube. We're at Sportswire Radio 6579, backspace stream, where you can watch past, present, and future XCW shows, like coming up Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, to be inducted as the 10th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, none other than the 2023 Money in the Bank winner, who was just in the main event of Episode 4 Encounters, Jackson Law, the Law of the Land. We have, speaking of EBW, who's here Wednesday night, Chris Jones is going to be live Wednesday night. And he's apparently requested a microphone. He's talking a lot about ACT. He's talking a lot about the future of EBW, XCW, a lot to talk about there. Obviously, Hayden Vex is no longer in EBW, so obviously have to talk a lot about that. So there's a lot to discuss here. XCW coverage for a full week of XCW coverage. We have you covered. You can also check us out on our brand new website at sportswireradio.org. We're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen and watch all our great content. If you have a podcast out there, if you have live music, you have anything you want to do and get involved, you can get involved with us for free, because I handle all the radio costs, all the maintenance, all the production, all that stuff out there. So you might be hearing us live out there, but if you want to be heard live, you can check us out on sportswireradio.org. Also, we have a brand new blog. We're on Tumblr at Sportswire Radio, so you might be hearing hearing about XCW stars like DJ Wolbert on there as well. So check us out. I'll be back here tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern time with DJB of Colory Championship Wrestling, where all wrestling definitely matters. And it's also Colory Community Wrestling. DJB is going to talk about what happened at last week's CCW show, getting us ready for the next show coming up here in a couple of weeks. Plus, who knows what else is on his mind. You will not want to miss that one here on the same channel where we are right now. And also follow CCW at Colory Championship Wrestling on Facebook, Carnage Championship Wrestling, and Coming Out Championship Wrestling. Make sure you follow all those great platforms with DJB tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. But right now, we are here with the one and only DJ Wolbert, the Scarecrow of XCW. I have tons of comments here. Let me get to some more people because I'm way behind. I think this would be the Mistress Candy. I think your Candy Crush. Nobody else's Candy Crush like they said on TV. Your Candy Crush says, You got this, baby DJ. You're doing so good. I'm very proud of you. And being your manager is so awesome that she gets to do this with you. Okay, let me ask you a question on this, because obviously you have the Mistress Candy. You have the Candy Crush that everybody wants and can't have an XCW or an EBW. I thought the Mistress Candy would love that. I thought that obviously it's always good to get on the right side of people, especially what she's done to Mandy and even what she did at Feast or Fight. But, what does it mean to you to have your girlfriend as your manager and be able to share this second run in XCW? What does that mean for you in your career to have the Mistress Candy right there with you as this second run continues?
That's awesome, being able to do it with like my girlfriend, being able to do what I love, my passion with my girlfriend, living it out now. Like I never really thought that this would have happened. So like the fact that this is happening now, it's like the fact that she's just a part of the show in general is so fucking awesome, and I really appreciate it. I'm sorry for cussing, but it's just
no, it's okay. You're DJ Wolbert. It's okay at this point. Go ahead.
But yeah, it really is awesome that she's a part of the show, and
Does
that Josh for like trusting her and allowing her to be a part too.
Does that motivate you?
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, like the fact that she loves doing that too. The fact that she like. Not many people. You don't really hear a lot of women that are like that anymore.
Oh my! Listen, we were trying to go out with one on Sportzwire that was into our shows and kind of went cuckoo on us. But won't even say the person's name. But yes, I can tell you from experience, it's very rare to have what you have. Obviously, Mr. Parsley has it. I guess you'd say with Mandy, but by and large, or Mr. Fletcher actually. Technically, Mr. Fletcher has that as well. But in all seriousness, very few people may have what you have. Brandon Castelli has it with his fiance, but there's very few people I can think of all around that have really what you and the Mistress Candy have. Your Candy Crush.
Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it.
I heard it on Encounters episode 4 just now. I'm like, I'm going with it now.
No, we heard it too. Yep.
And I thought it was interesting. Real quick, I'm gonna make you both chuckle, but you guys also had different foods you like. There was obviously, what's your favorite food? You went for was it Stouffer's macaroni and cheese or something like that? So talk about that real quick. And her favorite food was Italian. I mean, talk to me about your favorite food and why.
I know. I mean, I am Italian too. That's the thing too. Is like it just blows my mind. It drives people crazy when they find out that
I'm from New York, right? No, I grew up in Brooklyn, right? Now I grew up
in hate the fact that
where I grew up was kind of Italian. Where I live now in Staten Island is not really Italian, but I'm surrounded by Italians and food, right? And I was like, this guy likes Stouffer's? You have to tell us why.
Man, I don't know. It's something about just like the edge pieces that just like set it off for me. That like the crunchiness of it. I don't know. It's just like I just got some today at the store.
Oh wow, okay. And what do you think about the Mistress?
And like 5 packs of Bajas too. So thank you, Josh, for letting me know that Baja's back in the store too.
I
because
noticed that.
I just bought 5 12 packs.
I will say that I did actually on air last year. I tried out the Mountain Dew Pitch Black. I did try it out last year on the air, which I thought was good. It was good. I do like the original Mountain Dew more, but Pitch Black wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Right, yeah. I've had it like it was a few years ago, but when I had it wasn't too bad either.
Yeah. And what do you think about her favorite food? Well, you have to like it. Obviously, it's her favorite food.
I like spaghetti. I do. Yeah. She makes bomb spaghetti.
Oh, wow. Okay. Not only does she kill people in the ring, she can cook. Oh, there you go. You never know what you learn right on Sportzwire, right?
Yes,
so let me get to a ton of more comments here because I have many people that want to talk to you. Mr. Law says, stop doing dumb dives and you're back on her. You do a lot of dives, by the way.
I know, man. I know.
He's trying to give
But
you the
it's
win.
it's the adrenaline, man, that I love about it. It's the fact that I've told other people too about how like there's other spots I want to do too, but like it's pretty crazy, but I want to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna talk to Josh about that at some point.
Well, I'm sure you and Mr. Fletcher will have that conversation. He was saying that he feels though that his back may be booming. He
Oh
also,
man,
which I was
my
going to get to
back,
this
my
at some
knees,
point,
my everything.
but thank you for getting to this, Mr. Law. I wrestled DJ in my XCW debut, and he made me look great. Should run it back nowadays when I don't suck as much. But Mr. Law definitely doesn't suck because he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase, and we know between any time until Halloween Harvest, he could be a champion at every given moment. But I mean, anything you want to talk about in the memories of his first match?
Yeah, like I said, like at first, like we didn't really see eye to eye and all, but now we're cool and all and everything, and like yeah, like of course, like you're coming in green and everything, and I mean, you may think you know it all coming in, this and that. Like I understand the mentality of a wrestler or whatever, but no, the fact that like me and you we see eye to eye and everything, like I appreciate it, and fuck yeah, like I'll be down to do it, man. Like totally.
Let me ask you a question on Law, because obviously Mr. Law is coming on Sunday's show, and he adds a unique perspective. And I want to take this in the context of XCW, because when we're bringing him on, it's really I'm actually, which I'm excited about, because this time I get a chance to really talk about XCW in the moment when I have him on. But what do you think he adds to the company, and the fact that here's a guy that's wrestled in 26 different companies, 8 different states, and he's kind of now found a home in XCW? What do you think that he's added to the company with his experiences that's kind of helped the company here continue this momentum, which we've had, I think, the best season the company ever had?
Well, I know. Shout out to him. A lot of like the clothing and everything is because of him. Like all the designs and everything. Like I think him, Josh, and Blackheart all went in together and like started editing the designs, and like they're amazing. Um, on XCW Shop Zone.
Absolutely.
But I
Yeah.
think I think yeah, man. Like I said though, like lately, like his like run, like his feud with Tommy. I love that feud. That was a great feud.
That was one of the bigger feuds of 2023, and obviously we see Tommy the Man Merriman back, and that's obviously a different discussion for a different time. Absolutely, no question about that. And I have a lot more comments, so let me try to say hello to as many people. Let me come back to different people. I know that guy. I'm sure I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that.
Who are you? Who is that dude? Who is that dude?
I'm going to get to that. I want to get to my buddy here who we've reconnected at 3:20 a.m. He's up, and his name now is Brad Coleman, pro wrestler. How you doing, Brad? Brad is out there in the UK. He says, "Good morning, folks. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks." He also has his own podcast. He's a vlogger, and he's got an interesting journey in his own right. Also, management says new episode of XCW on the spot premieres this Sunday. Looking forward to that on the XCW YouTube page at XCW Shelbyville. My buddy Ron Franklin from Pennsylvania, but is a Green Bay Packers fan, in case you can tell, says, "Hey, Tom." Also, the Mistress Candy, your Candy Crush. Maybe you guys will see me back in the ring. I'm going to get to that as well. I want to get to our buddy from Resurrection Wrestling, and I think you answered this question already. But any other match that comes to mind? Because you already answered the question, so I want to just move off it. But anything else you want to add on that match-wise?
Um, like I said, the work with Justin Parsley I had, me and him, we really connected well, and the fact that me and him are just so well alike, and the fact that like
Sure.
he's my good friend. It's good doing it with people that you like.
Sure, absolutely. No, that's totally. I totally agree with that. I'm gonna come back to you, Ethan, in about 10 minutes because I will come to paranormal. I want to certainly stay on XCW for a few minutes, but I actually want to bring up Mistress Candy because Mistress Candy, as I said in the beginning of the show, I think had the most success of the group in the second half. We saw what she did at Feast or Fight. We saw what she did to Mandy. I mean, we saw what happened there. But, seeing her in the ring and seeing the success that she had, What do you think in two ways? One, what does that do for the group going forward in 24? In that she could be maybe in the role that Trinity had when Trinity was kind of like back and forth before ring announcing. Maybe she steps into that role as the dominant female in the company, but also
Yeah.
to kind of break the fourth wall. What does that mean to you as her boyfriend, watching her in the ring do what she does? How does that make you feel? So, what is it? Again, two parts, on screen for the group, seeing the success she's had. What do you think that means for you guys going forward in 24 next season? But also breaking the fourth wall as a boyfriend. What does that kind of mean to you, seeing her and the way she's out there and kicking some ass?
Well, before I say any of that, the fact that like me, like I love horror, I love gore, I love all of that. But I will admit that whenever she does get in the ring, I do get nervous.
Really?
Because
You of all people get nervous? I would have been like, nah, this
I
is
do get
great.
nervous.
Go out there and, do something. Then you of all people, if Parsley, we know Parsley was definitely nervous with Mandy. If anybody else would have been nervous, I would have said, yeah, okay. But you, DJ Wolbert, the scarecrow, Mr. Paranormal, actually gets nervous when the Mistress Candy goes out there and does what she does best. You must tell us why.
Oh man, it's just the fact that like she's new to this and everything. So I mean, you got to get used to it. Your body has to get the right mind. Because I found that out too when I first came to XTW, and starting off in my company and a trampoline and going into a ring is a big step up.
Oh, absolutely. No question. When you go from, it's like you start from the floor, you go to the trampoline, you go to the ring, and then you kind of go indoors. There's kind of like different layers to it. So
Right,
sure, I
right.
can see that.
Yeah.
Does she ask you a lot for advice? Do you try to help her that in terms of?
Oh yeah. Anything that she really needs help with or like wants to do, like she watches Raw with me weekly or
Oh, wow.
SmackDown, EW, whatever. Like whenever I do watch it, like she'll watch it with me, this and that, and like she's pretty big on it too.
Do you guys watch it? Do you guys watch it in a different way? If let's say she wasn't wrestling, in other words, now obviously she's coming into the company, but do you feel like in a way you watch these shows differently now with her?
No, I will say I have a hard time sitting through like wrestling these days because WWE just isn't that good anymore to me.
Well, that's why we watch XCW, because XCW is the gold standard of this sport. And I'll actually answer the question for you. Like I promise you, I'll take the heat off you. That's why I watch us. People ask me, well, what's your favorite companies? What's your favorite shows? I go XCW. I go DBW.
We put on great content. We do deserve more recognition.
No. And why do you think I always say XCW is the gold standard of this sport? And why do I always say endorsements are not given, they're earned? And why do I always say XCW is, again, the gold standard? Because there are a lot of places, and people say the same old stuff, the same old talk. But that's why when I'm always mentioning, people ask me, well, what are you watching these days? I go XCW. I'm watching DBW. I'm watching VTW. I'm watching IMF. I'm watching, REW. I'm watching, pretty much TBW. I'm watching all these different companies out there. I'm watching AWL,
As you literally said, though, all wrestling matters. And that's the thing that more people need to understand. All wrestling matters. I mean, passion is passion.
That's simple. You know what? And there's too many people that go on a soapbox and say this or that. There's too many people that go out there and say, well, you're not doing it this way. You're doing it. But at the end of the day, you're going out there, and people don't go out when they say, oh, well, you're playing basketball in a schoolyard. Oh, you're playing basketball and you're not playing in an organized team, or you're not playing, baseball in a baseball team, whatever it is. So at the end of the day, that's why we say all wrestling matters here.
When you want to run us down, whatever, cool. That's whatever. Like that just shows that like we're the bigger company than you anyway.
That's why XCW is the gold standard, and that's why XCW is going on its 21st season coming up, and we have more encounters episodes ahead, and Cold Day in Hell is a month from now, and that's why you want to follow XCW at all platforms, especially YouTube at XCW Shelbyville. And if you want to buy some merchandise, you want to buy some XCW merchandise like I did, or some DJ Wolbert merchandise, xcwrestling1.wixsite.com/. Shelbyville, because again, XCW is the GOAT, and the galaxy knows it better than anybody. I got some more comments from the Mistress Candy. If I don't get those comments, she's going to run me down like she did Mandy and most of those people in that Rumble last month. She says, I would rather watch XCW instead of AEW. Well, AEW's got a lot of problems right now. AEW right now's product is definitely, in doo-doo. Yeah.
There's only two main reasons why I watch AEW anyways, so that's besides the point.
Fair enough.
Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin, so it really
I
doesn't.
was gonna say that was funny. I knew you'd say Darby. The other one I would have said, maybe I would have said Jeff, but he hasn't really had much success since he's come back in AEW. I would have said,
I know,
yeah,
and it's bullshit.
Yeah, if you would have told me, maybe you would have said like Kenny Omega before he got hurt or something like that. I would have said, all right, maybe I would have believed you on that. But whatever you say.
Jeff's my inspiration. He's the reason why I'm doing this.
Hey, I love Jeff Hardy. I just, unfortunately, not to go too much away from XCW, but in AEW, they don't know how to use people, because Jeff Hardy, like, I forgot the last time he won a match, which to me is like, I don't know. Jeff Hardy is one of the most popular wrestlers of this generation, and yet you don't have him in like any like big storyline. But again, that's why XCW is the gold standard, and that's why AEW is not. That's why I want to come on that. The Mistress Candy wants to say WWE and Raw will always be my favorite. So one more question on Candy, because I do want to talk about Paranormal. When she's having this success, then, and you're seeing her do these things, has she asked you for advice on, let's say, the success or the things that she's doing, and sort of maybe how to handle that? Because you have been a champ. You've held every championship in XCW except the world title. So has she asked you at a different level about things now that we're starting to see her mix it up a little bit?
Yeah, I can tell she's definitely studying. I can tell that she's like paying attention to like what goes on in the ring and everything, and doing it safely, which is awesome, because like some people may not want to do that. They just want to go in there and just do it. But that's really awesome. The fact that she's like learning and everything. Like, of course, like I've known wrestling way longer than her. The fact now that she's catching on, that she's learning this and that, it's really awesome, and I love the fact that I get to share that with her.
I almost feel like, in a way, she's like the Gothic version of China. In a way, the Gothic version of China. There's a kind of like, I thought that was kind of funny, because in a way, like, she's got that same image, but Gothic version, because China really wasn't Gothic. But you kind of see the same thing. She comes out there, and you guys are just, certainly in your own way. That's why I said, you're as evil as Charles Manson, creepy as Marilyn Manson. You hunt the paranormal, which I'm going to get to in a second, and you move like Rey Mysterio, almost like moves like Jagger. She laughs.
I love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
You got it. No problem. That's why people like coming onto Sportswire. I kicked my ass for the first time in the ring. Yeah, you definitely did. I'm not gonna disagree or argue with you, because you are the Mistress Candy, and I'm not Mandy there. So, but it was a joke. We love Justin Parsons. I'm gonna come back to him, but you have to talk about then what you do outside of XCW, which I find so fascinating. And I was glad you reached out in a way to do this, because you have a different background than a lot of other people, and you actually sort of similar to a guy that came on the show. I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Barnaby Jones. He's come on. He was a rep from Wisconsin. He did some backyard wrestling, and he was close to a lot of guys in a company, WC. He does this also, but I'll come back to him maybe in a few minutes. But how did you get involved in the paranormal, hunting it, and going on these different places where you've actually, have this following, which we're going to plug in a second, but kind of talk about that for the audience, and your interest in that, which has led you to where you had this certainly interesting life outside of XCW.
Yeah, right. So, for years and years now, I've like been going to so many paranormal haunted locations, this and that, just like discovering it here in Indiana and everything, and it's like grown up to where like now like we're doing it as like an actual like team now. So like it's me and my friend. We're literally like, he came up to me one day. He was like, "Hey, do you want to start a paranormal channel?" I looked at him. I was like, "Are you fucking stupid?" "Fuck yeah, I do." and like that was history. Like we started all up, and the fact that now like we just was booked at a haunted jail a few weeks ago, and coming up here soon, we're going to be at another, we're going to be staying overnight at a house, and then a manor in Ohio, and we plan on staying at a high school overnight. So there's a lot of future plans that we have in mind. Um, it's just the fact that like people don't see the fact that like everything that you do, like the paranormal field is like is kind of like off. Like it's not like as big as what you think it is.
Why is that?
It doesn't get as recognized. And I just feel like because some people have an off put on paranormal activity, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, whatever. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And that doesn't really matter.
Well, listen, you know what?
But
Everybody's different in what they see is normal and what they see is not. But I mean,
right,
like,
right.
did you always have an interest in this growing up? Did you always say, hey, you know what? I was interested in, like, what's out there? Because I'll tell you a funny story real quick. Sammy Hagar, who used to sing in Van Halen, was on Howard Stern one day. This is years ago. I had to have been in maybe high school. It was about, I don't know, 20 years ago, whatever, maybe 15 years ago, whatever it was. And he was talking about, like, believing in aliens. And I remember, okay, aliens. Yeah, that's interesting. He would talk about aliens and being abducted by aliens, but paranormal, is a different kind of thing. It's, like, did you always have a fascination with it? I mean, I'm curious about that for those
Yeah,
that
yeah.
maybe only know you for XCW, but talk about that.
So I've always been into spooky, scary, haunted. What if it's scary? Count me in. Whatever. Um, um, but that started it all. I mean, growing up, I was 4 years old watching Halloween in a dark room by myself. I feel like that kind of like the fact that like Halloween is just like a lifestyle to me,
Sure.
and the fact that paranormal connects with that so well, and everything that I've encountered so far in this paranormal industry and everything has blown my mind away. And the fact that like we're getting people hitting us up and like we've already got somebody to tell us that they want to like book like a special place for us. Like it's really cool the fact that we're getting people that we don't even know hit us up. I mean, we just got a guy that had like 500,000 subscribers on I think YouTube just
Oh, wow.
messaged us about a place and was wanting to meet up with us. Um, to do more research on this step cemetery that we went to because well he knows about that place pretty well. So I was like, wow, this
Oh,
dude
wow.
has 500,000 subscribers and is
Wow.
coming to us as we're just starting out. So that's pretty awesome. And it's the fact that the scare out of it, like it brings an adrenaline rush. It's like to me, I don't really get scared as
No.
like a lot of people will freak out or can't take it the right way. But for me, I love it is because it's paranormal and it has its own unique thing to it and things you come in contact with like that stuff is legit. Doing paranormal stuff is not fake, is
No,
not
I actually believe it because I interviewed a guy again, Barnaby Jones. I'll connect you with him after the interview. He's has his own thing. Wrote books. He's from Caps. He's out of Wisconsin, and it's like, it's a real thing. And like I said, I always look at it like, listen, there are people that believe in aliens. I mean, Sammy Hagar was on Howard Stern years ago talking about, well, I was abducted by aliens. So there are things out there that are strange. And I was curious, and I have people who say hello in a second that maybe know Mr. Jones. Maybe they'll connect us. But you visited a jail recently. What was that like in visiting a jail? And what were you looking for when you went to the
it.
old Blackford County Jail?
It was insane. That was
Talk to me
like
about it.
that was by far. I'm 21, and that was by far one of the best memories I've ever had,
Oh,
hands
wow.
down. Just because the fact that it was so different. It's just so
Mm.
different. The fact that the touring manager, like with everything, like the fact that after they left, like they showed us around everything, and after they left, like it was just me and him all night. We
Oh, wow.
slept there. We slept in the jail all night long. This jail is a pretty big jail, so it was pretty wild.
Had you been to a jail before that to visit or anything like that? Have you ever been to a jail
I have
before that?
I have not. No, no, that was
What
like
was
our
that like then? Did you
That
have any
it was
pre?
awesome. It was
Yeah.
awesome. It was our first like indoor big place that we went to. We put in pretty good money to go to that place, but
Oh, wow.
it was worth every dime, and I would do it again.
Did that change your perception of anything or make it stronger? As we're speaking here again with DJ
It did.
Wolbert, DJs. Talk to me about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it made it way stronger because now that like we went there, like I'm like, oh man, there's this place to go to now. There's this place, and now we have like 5 places that we want to go to within like the next like 4 months, and it's like man, this is gonna cost us some money. I mean, we're talking about going like out of state here within the next month to Ohio, to Kentucky, Michigan, like all these states around the Midwest, but
So
down the road, there's a lot of stuff going.
how are you able to juggle all these things? You obviously you're an XCW star. You've got a life. You've got the Mistress Candy, and then you've got this paranormal thing. Like, how do you juggle all these different things at once? I think that's a fascinating question to ask you. How does that, kind of all take place and being able to juggle everything?
Right, right, right. So normally I try to manage to do the paranormal and the wrestling on opposite weekends, but
Wow.
sometimes there's been a few times to where we do the recording on Friday, and then I go to Shelbyville on that Saturday. So I mean, I'm sure by whatever place I'm at, like it's a drive because like there's like no place around us right now within like 45 minutes that's haunted. That's like
Oh wow.
a video that we've done. There's places around me that's haunted, but not we haven't went there and done a video yet. I feel like that's the thing too, is like just going to all these places, putting in money into it, it's gonna be worth it in the long run. And me and him both have that same feel, and we have that same vibe and mindset that we're coming to do this paranormal thing and we want to succeed at doing it.
I think you can because Barnaby Jones, who my buddy Nicholas Crenson, I'll get to it in a second. I mean, he's written books about it. He's been all over the place. He's been at conventions, and I think that you can do it if you really are serious about it. I mean, yeah, I think that people are fascinated with it. I think that there's a market for it, and I believe that you can do it. So I don't see why not.
I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, like I said, we are not stopping. We have so many bookings coming up that we're gonna be making, and yeah, so it's gonna be pretty wild.
Let me ask you one other question, or a couple other questions on it. As we're here again with DJ Wolbert. Hey, DJ's hanging out here. We have about a half hour, 35 minutes or so here. DJ is a star with XCW Shelbyville. Encounters episode 4 just took place where DJ was in the ring alongside his new, once again, former tag team partner Shane Shaw as a part of Unholy against the Midwest Express. You can watch that on the XCW YouTube page at XCW Shelbyville. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio. The Reverend Tom Bryce and your voice of all wrestling where wrestling matters. Do people recognize you at all from paranormal, from wrestling, or do people conversing the other way, like in the XCW Galaxy or the locker room? Do you get asked a lot about paranormal?
I do. I get asked a lot about. Lately, it's been a lot about this paranormal stuff. Like people just constantly asking me about like the crazy experience that I've witnessed or everything. And like I've been doing this since June, so we're new to this. But I think overall, I think everything's turning out the way we want it to, and that's all that really matters right now. Is because we're starting out, and this is like a whole new thing to us.
Is there any places in particular that you'd like to, in types of like objects or places that you have in a short list before I get to more comments you'd like to visit?
Oh yes,
Tell me
yes.
about it.
There's one here in Indiana. It's like I think you have to pay over $1,000 to stay there, but
Oh wow.
we're
Oh
gonna
wow.
we're gonna do it at some point.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like really haunted, and from what I've known, like this one guy that went there, like out of all the places he's went to, he said that's by far the most haunted, and that's where I want to go to. It's called the Indiana Rockville Sanatorium, I believe. Don't
Wow.
quote me on that, but it's in
Wow.
Rockville,
I'm
Indiana.
I'm not going to certainly doubt you at all on that. And I know also Witch's Circle you also went to in the past. I think that's something. Sleepy Hollow. I think you spoke about
Yep.
also in prior things. So you've certainly done things in the gauntlet. And I want to say hello specifically to our friends who I interviewed before we came on the air with you in VTW versus the World Wrestling, which are out there in North Carolina. So maybe there's a way you could visit the Paranormal in North Carolina and also wrestle for their company, because their company, their world champion is a guy, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, we were speaking a lot about XCW, and I would love to see one day maybe some VTW talent and some XCW talent get together, whether it's things like encounters or whether it's in special shows like XCW Extra or whatever else it might be. There's a number of talents I'd like to see, like DJ Wolbert, Justin Parsley, Corey Lee, certainly Jack Delta, who's the XCW New Age champion, maybe once again in VTW, and just a number of talents I'd love to see crisscross and wrestle each other, like Ecstatic, Zach Daniels, Tyler Aiken, Chase Wakefield, even. Maybe Ace Christian the Blaze, Asher Christ, and certainly Aaron Jones, and against the likes of Brogan O'Shea, and certainly Mr. Law, a number of different people that are Leon Lux. I mean, we can go on all day. Hunter Halkin, I mean, Brady Branson, Miano Diaz. I mean, so maybe VTW and XCW can put on something special. Let me get to some more comments. Follow VTW YouTube, VTW Wrestling. Stay tuned for more VTW coverage in the near distant future. We appreciate Justin Parsley and Mandy. We will come back to them. Nicholas Crenson, again, whose buddy is Barnaby Jones. And I'm sure Mr. Crenson can get in touch with Mr. Jones and connect you because he's from Wisconsin. You're from Indiana. He does paranormal. You're doing paranormal. That would make for a really fun conversation.
Haunted Minds Paranormal.
There you go. I actually have it here. And in fact, I'm going to pull it back right here on the Sportzwire Radio YouTube page here for people to follow you on. I have some more comments here. The real ones and unholy ones always put on a good show. I will get to this from Ethan. What would be the most? I think you kind of answered it. What would be the most haunted spot that you went to? Which I think was the jail, right? What was the evidence? Did you get any evidence in the jail?
Yes.
You want to talk about it?
So it's actually on our YouTube channel, so I don't want to go into too much detail about that yet.
Go to Haunted Minds Paranormal.
Yes.
Go to their YouTube page.
There's a short on a tiny glimpse of what happened, but there's more to that, and it'll be in the video. So by far, our most haunted place that we've been to so far is the jail. The jail by far is like the most like craziest spot. Yeah, I don't really want to go into detail about that though.
Listen, people can go to Haunted Minds Paranormal on Facebook, Instagram Graveyard Condition, YouTube at Haunted Minds Paranormal, and you can go out there and find it. I'll make you chuckle every time I think of jail for whatever reason. I think of the Metallica, it's probably their worst video ever, Saint Anger, and they're in the San Quentin Penitentiary. They open up with the Pepsi can drums. I don't know if you're a Metallica fan. And they're trying to be like they just got off. They did the some kind of monster documentary where they're all in therapy, and they're all trying to be like really tough and heavy metal again. And they're all sitting there. They cut their hair off at that point. And they're going there with snow caps on, and they're in the San Quentin Penitentiary, which is the legendary prison in San Francisco. I'm sure you've heard of that. And they go up there, and it's like they're trying to be so tough, but they didn't play guitar solos. They had Pepsi can drums, and it was like fake. Where you were in the old Blackford County Jail, not fake at all. Definitely check that out on all platforms.
It'll most likely be up a week from this Saturday, so stay tuned.
There you go. And XCW, listen, XCW is technically in the offseason, so you have no excuse. You have every reason to go out there and support this man on all of his great platforms. I want to come.
I appreciate you. I really do appreciate you more than you know. More than you know.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate those kind words. Oh, well, why? Thank you. I mean, but certainly make sure you appreciate Mistress Candy far more. Just my biggest advice to you. Make sure you.
Of course.
Okay, good enough. Thank you very much. So obviously, let's come back to Justin Parsley for a second. Then we'll talk about a few other things. So obviously, you have this feud with Parsley. You kidnapped Mandy. You had the tag titles. They take them away from you in rather short time. And is there unfinished business with Justin Parsley and the Essential One, Rob Slater? I know they've got their hands tied right now with Omen Black and Soldier GP, but is there unfinished business, whether it's maybe singles with Justin Parsley? I mean, what do you say to all that?
Down the road, yes. Yes, yeah? Justin. I will see you down the road, bud. I will see you down the road. We've talked about that already, how we want to kill it again down the road. Rather, that's even teaming up.
Wait.
I mean, I'm just saying.
You guys are like the total opposite of each other. The total opposite.
I'm just saying.
Really? You guys are the complete opposite. So you're telling me that you guys could even tag together in the future?
We could. We could make it work. I know we could. I know we could. We'd kill it too. We would kill it.
Well, that's a real one. That's a real one shoot there. That's a real one shoot. I mean, that's definitely something I did not expect. The Scarecrow and the First Real Wrestler, obviously, they've got their work certainly tied up with Omen Black and Soldier GP. And yeah, I wanted to ask you a question coming back to some of these things in XCW. How do you like all these different wrestlers that have come in here during these encounters? So Jack Delta's been back. Obviously, Jacob Collins, JX, we've seen, certainly the IMF guys. What's the general consensus been from yourself in the locker room with all these different people coming in here now?
It's wild, the fact that when I started out, all these guys are basically in Shelbyville, and now we got guys traveling from all over the world to XCW, and I find that amazing. And that's awesome, the fact that I get to face guys from fucking Iowa or Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois. I so many guys
Ohio, yep.
states, and it's so awesome.
And how do you feel does that raise the locker room's game, you think? How do you think that's translated into the locker room, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes, definitely, yeah. We've had our people coming in and out, and we've had there's been some people that come in and think they're okay, are you okay?
I'm good. I'm listening to you. Fine. Go ahead. No, I'm fine. I just moved. I'm fine. You're alive. Okay.
We've had people come and go and everything, but the fact that we've got bigger names coming in now, we got guys from out of state. I just find that really cool, and the fact that we all can connect as a wrestling community as a whole is just awesome. And I feel like if more people did this, the wrestling community would be a lot better. If we all just came together and just got along.
Do you think that because XCW, in a lot of ways, maybe we're the place that can make that happen? Because, and I say this, I don't know if you've heard me say this on prior shows, but I will say it, and I'll say it till, I'm dead in the grave, and I'll have a funny joke after that. But a lot of these companies that are coming into Shelbyville, right? Let's say like ROEW. Let's say like the IMF. Let's say like a company we just saw say hello with us in VTW. Let's also say other places like you mentioned in Tennessee called TBW. Then there's DBW out there, and there's WCE, and then there's other companies out there in Alabama like AWL. And the facts is that this because you've been XCW in a while. All these different companies that are certainly making their name out there, and they're certainly doing a great job in carrying the flag, and we love these companies, but they really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Joshua Fletcher. Like, real talk for a second, this is a real chat here. They wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Joshua Fletcher's ability to basically take this sport that we love, backyard, underground, semi-pro, whatever you want to call it, and really put it into where people have seen it into thousands and thousands of homes. And if it wasn't for his vision to really give people from all across this scene an opportunity, his work, I continue to say it, he is a visionary. He is really the Vince McMahon. He is really the new Vince McMahon because of what Joshua Fletcher has done. So at the end of the day, I think all these companies, all these talents should come to XCW. And in fact, I'll even go further since you're here. And you probably didn't hear this the first time. I think that every company should recognize and honor Joshua Fletcher, because they would not exist, as a matter of fact, the way they do currently on YouTube, if it wasn't for everything of his vision in putting this sport and carrying it figuratively and literally on his back to where it is. So I'm just saying that's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? I've got a bunch of comments here, so let's move off that because I could rant about that all day, and I want to talk to you more so than that. Justin Parsons says, we've never been in a tag match, but the first half of my XCW career was with DJ by my side. We worked Magic then, too, so you never know. I mean, listen.
Never say never.
We say that all the time, and management also wants to say more to come on working with other feds. Stay tuned. Hey, listen, look at what we're seeing with encounters, right? I mean, look at the people that we've seen, come in here again, and they're here, and some of them hold gold, like Jack Delta. All right, I'll let Ethan ask this one to you. If you were to have a rivalry with someone, could be anywhere, could be any company in XCW, who would it be and why? It could be anywhere.
Well, I do like WWE. Like of course, I will always like WWE. I'm just not really too fond on it right now because of current era. Um, that's tough. I always I always felt like possibly like it's really tough because like I like going up against like bigger guys, but at the same time I like going up against guys my size. So it really that's kind of tough to decide on.
Yeah,
Um,
some people want to say, "Hey, let me test my strength against somebody outside my wheelhouse." Other
because
people
I'm
say,
not
"Let
just
me
gonna
go toe to
call
toe."
out like my all-time favorite, I'm not gonna call out Jeff Hardy. I mean, that's my all-time favorite wrestler, whatever. But I'm not just gonna call him out. So like, I just like it. It wouldn't make sense to do that.
Well, I will. I tell you what. I can I take it at least into XCW terms. I would love to see you square up with somebody again like a Jackson Law would make a lot of sense. You're speaking about big guys. I would love to see you mix it up with, I don't know, maybe a Brady Branson. You and Brady Branson would be a really good match. How
We've
about
had we've
against
had we've had
somebody
plenty of
you've
matches
wrestled,
together.
somebody you've also wrestled in the past who's been on Sportswire Radio, Julian Void Jacobs. You and him, you guys have had some stuff tag, but even singles. I think that would be an awesome thing. So, like, if I take it into the XCW wheelhouse, I would love to see you against different big guys. I love to see you and Brogan O'Shea mix it up a little bit. That'd be another good match.
Yeah, that's another one that I really want to
Bro,
get
I
to.
think you and Brogan's been on here. Brogan's certainly very opinionated. I wanted to ask you one other question, XCW. What's your opinion on Venom basically being removed as general manager?
I did not expect that. When I heard about that, and I was like, wait, so like, is he maybe coming back? What's going on? But
I mean, Fletch said he would go out and fight for him at the board of directors, but that's obviously a stay tuned. I mean,
I know it, and now I don't know where he's at, so it's
I know you don't really
weird.
fall. I know you really don't fall XCW or EBW, but I mean, I think it's pretty fair to say that the XCW crew that's come onto Sportswire, and I'm going to hear Jackson Law's side Sunday, and certainly Chris Jones is going to have a lot to say on this. But
I want to know the scoop on that. Yeah.
and I think I'm going to ask them a lot about it. But I think that it's fair to say that Venom really, he did not have the vote of confidence, I think, by the locker room this past season. There's no question that he did not have the vote of confidence.
Right. Yep.
Okay,
he did what he could when he was in GM position. So
I mean, Brogan O'Shea was on here very vocal against him. Corey Lee was fighting him tooth and nail. I mean, there was a lot of people that were coming on here. Chris Jones mocked him on here on Sportswire. I mean, Parsley and Slater didn't care for him. So the majority of the people that came on outside of Eric Mason really weren't really I would say pro Venom. I want to say hello to the NR Report. Happy New Year to you and everyone as well. And speaking of people that I want to say hello to, who I spoke about in my earlier show, who's been in VTW, DBW, and his name, I don't know if I call him the Mauler Brandon Castelli, Rock Hard Brandon Castelli, Sneaky Pete, but AKA this is Mr. Brandon Castelli. And he also, like you, has his girlfriend / now fiance at his side wrestling, at least in DBW. And he says here, certainly have enjoyed DJ stuff lately. Obviously, Brandon's mixed it up in VTW and DBW, and he's a big fan of yours. And maybe I'd like to see Brandon one day in DBW, from DBW in XCW. So maybe Mr. Fletcher, if you can, Brandon Castelli, he rocks hard. He's a mauler, and he might even throw some Sneaky Pete like moves out there in the ring for XCW. So maybe we can get a hold of him. So good stuff there. So thank you, Brandon. And you can follow Brandon. By the way, check Brandon out because Brandon's a vlogger also. He shows his places of touring where he goes all around the world and around the States. And he goes to zoos. He goes out to Cracker Barrels. He goes out to all these different places. And by the way, one more paranormal thing before I move on to a few other things with you. And we're here again with DJ Wolbert. Check him out on these platforms. He's the Scarecrow. He's eviler than Charles Manson, creepier than Marilyn Manson. He hunts the paranormal, and he moves like Rey Mysterio. I actually, speaking of places you might want to actually hunt or visit, I actually live right across the street from a cemetery.
Hey, man, you never know. Maybe one day.
And it's funny when it's around this time of year because I actually work overnight delivering newspapers. I go out there like 4:30 in the morning, and I'll go out, and it's like pitch dark. You go in the cemetery, you'll love this. it's like there's no lights, nothing. It's like literally pitch dark. There's like literally,
Oh,
it's like
yeah, that's awesome. That's
it's
how
kind of
this one place that we went to, like, we just go there religiously now. Like, we've been
it's
going there for so long. It's called Step Cemetery,
okay.
and this place, like, you have to walk through the woods and everything to get to it.
Yeah,
But
I could
yeah,
totally see that. I have one kind of similar story. Actually, now you got me thinking. During COVID, I was working overnight. It was funny. I was working across the street on my route is I don't want to say it's woods. It's kind of like a park, and it's adjacent the back of the cemetery. And I'm delivering, my newspapers. I'm going on a dead end, and there was like a pack of deer that looked at me with their I guess their antlers were flashing and their lights were looking at me, and I was like, "Am I going to be?" But to quote Brandon Castelli, mauled by deer. That was kind of my maybe interesting, dark paranormal story. Maybe it was kind of interesting moment. You probably would have loved it. Yeah, you would have definitely loved that story. Oh,
I really want to say what happened on here now, but like I said,
yeah, don't say it.
there
Don't
was
say it. I can share my stories, but definitely, I don't want you to go into them. I can share mine, but yeah, I kind of, I actually like being out in the middle of the night. I used to not, but I've kind of like, to me, it's like, I
yeah.
love being out there. They call it, by the way, they call between 1 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the morning the witching hour. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yep,
They call it.
yep,
Oh,
yep.
okay. All right. This is why This is why I need to speak in, because you actually get some of my lingo. So yeah, maybe one day. In fact, I had a wrestler come on from the UK. I did one of my long intros, and he goes, "Don't your neighbors hear you when you go so loud?" And I looked at him and I said, "Champ," I said, "my neighbors are dead people." He goes, "Okay, never mind." He said, "No,
Oh
never
yeah.
mind. They're my neighbors. My neighbors."
Yes.
So there you go. So, real quick before I get to a few other things and closing thoughts, do you have a childhood story about any ghost of any sort like that? Do you have anything like that? Anything that any memories about seeing ghosts? I don't know if that's a thing for you or not as a kid. Anything?
Um, I remember when like my grandmother died.
I'm sorry.
I heard like some coughing and stuff, and some like the toilet shut and everything. This was back in 2008,
Oh,
so
I'm
this
so
was
sorry.
a while back. But um, yeah, younger days, that was probably one that I could vaguely recall. I don't know any other ones that like I can recall when I was like younger. But yeah.
Well, I can tell you real quick, and I do want to move on here to a couple of things in XCW before we sign off for the evening. But I do remember as a kid growing up, I had to be, I don't know, between the ages of 5 and 9. I used to think during the witching hour, there would be like when people just randomly would come out and they would just like bang on the door. And, I used to be a believer in all that stuff. And then I remember as a kid, maybe I was more of a teenager when I was growing up. There was like where I lived in my room, my room, it was like down, like there was almost not like a cellar, but it was like you could look out the window and there'd be like you'd almost like go down, you could fall like outside the window, you'd probably die. And I'd always think like,
Oh
okay,
wow.
there's somebody there. And then like I would like we were like it was like a connected row of houses, and there was like there was an older couple that was near my house. Sometimes they would be loud. And I remember one time, particularly, like glass were breaking. I thought somebody was getting shot. And it was like, okay, maybe there is something out there. So this was like, this would be more of when I was a teenager, right before we moved. So I do kind of believe in some of that stuff. I don't know if I'm quite all there, but I definitely believe in some of that stuff. So, but that's here nor there. I got a great question from Brandon. I think I asked you anyway, but because it's Brandon Castelli and he rocks hard and he's a mauler, and maybe you'll see him one day in XCW. What are your goals for 2024?
I'd like to win the world title pick by the end of the year. That's my main goal.
Would you want to win this year's Money in the Bank?
That hey, yeah. Like I said, put me in Money in the Bank. I would love to be in it. Yeah, for sure.
What would it mean to you to be the XCW World Heavyweight Champion? ACT holds the title
Man.
currently. You've never held the title. Talk to us about that.
Oh man, that would be wild to put it all into to be XW World Champion. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, the fact that I almost forget that like I only need the world title and I've been a Grand Slam champion, and so it's kind of like Well, let's try to see what I can do, and I want to. Yeah, that's probably my goal by 2024. The end of 2024, my goal is to somewhere be in the world title pick.
Have you thought about that a lot in your career, in the fact that you've won the international title, you've won the new age, you've won the tag multiple times, you've won the extreme title, but you haven't won the world title? Kind of similar to Brandon. Brandon's had success in DBW, and the thing that's eluded him is the world heavyweight title of late. I mean, do you think about that often, that you have not held that world heavyweight title?
As of this year, yes. As of this year, I come to realize more that I think that it's finally time.
Okay.
I think that I just want to go out and prove myself. I want to earn my shot. I don't want to just get my shot. I want to earn my shot, and that's definitely my goal.
What did Kurt Acid mean to you?
Kurt Acid, he was a great guy. He was like, I even told him when he was alive. I told him I was like he was by far one of my favorite guys I faced, and that's insane to say also. The fact that like we would go out there and like just like put on like great matches that we wouldn't expect, like just on normal shows, like we would just be going out there. I'm like, wow, man, like that's really awesome. The fact that like we don't have to go out there and communicate with like what we're doing. Like we're literally sitting here, like we're doing all these spots that like we're planned out, but at the same time we're not talking about it. So
That's
but yeah,
it's a good one.
yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, Kurt Acid, I know that's a question I've asked a lot to different people in the locker room. I know you knew him and wrestled him, and I thought it was something I wanted to ask you before we went off the air. And I'm going to ask you a fun question. I didn't realize it's not, but do you have the most tattoos of anybody in the company? Because you got a lot of tattoos, and I was actually thinking about this.
Speaking of that, I'm getting tattooed tomorrow and Saturday. So.
I noticed that, and I noticed Mr. Fletcher is getting another one. So I was kind of wondering, because I asked you about the question about, eating Stofers and, who's favorite foods in the company, and most people answered the same ones. And you and the mistress, obviously everybody's Candy Crush had a different answer. But do you have the most tattoos of anybody in the locker room? That's what I want to know. And the XEW Galaxy wants to know.
I think Tommy, I'd say Tommy has more than me. But
yeah, I thought about that, and I was like, maybe if you get these two tattoos, would that put you over, Tommy? I don't know. That's a good question. I thought you'd like that question. I thought that was
yeah.
One.
Like I said, I'm getting tattooed on. I have an appointment tomorrow and Saturday, so I'm like, I'm stoked.
What tattoos are you getting? What may I ask? What kind of tattoos?
Okay, so my guy, shout out to Jack Adams. He deserves a massive shout out.
The beer, the old Jack Adams. Who do you know? There's that funny commercial.
Yes. He is by far an amazing artist. I recommend him over anybody. I'm sorry, but I shout out to my man. But I really think that I'm doing like a graveyard piece, and he's gonna be adding a bunch of stuff to it. He's basically doing this whole arm, and then on Saturday I'm getting it's gonna be about another artist. This artist is phenomenal also. It's gonna be Emotionless in White. They're a metal band.
I actually know heavy metal, so I think you heard me speak about it. So I definitely know who they are. Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah.
I listen to. I don't know if you have Sirius XM, but I listen to Liquid Metal, so they're all the time on Liquid Metal. So I know Emotionless in White. Yeah, I know them.
Yeah. It's been hard to contemplate on like what to get because like I have so many in mind, but it's like Motionless in White. When it comes down to it, like I've told Candy this, I've told my friends this, that when it comes down to it, Motionless in White, hands down, has to be my all-time favorite band. So it's like it's fitting that and like I said though, like I have so many tattoos in mind. Like right now is like nothing. Like I plan on getting way more.
Maybe that's a bucket list thing. Maybe you meet Motionless in White. Maybe you, have a way to do that. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about bands, but you basically answered that question, so I don't have to do that. But obviously, I'm sure that we'll see more fun
But when
questions.
Saturday comes, it may be something else. I don't know yet. But yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
and that's why
I'm getting
it's the beauty of them.
I'm getting a lot added to me, so it's at the same time, it's like to where like right now, like we've just kind of been talking about everything, so
Sure,
he's adding
awesome.
different pieces at different times.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really excited to see what that is. I know that the Mistress Candy, your Candy Crush, says DJ better watch out. I'm starting my tattoo journey on Saturday,
She
and
is.
she says that she hates you on the end. I'm
I
kidding.
want to
She
get
says
my
she loves
neck
you.
done though. I want to get my neck done badly. And
Really? Okay.
he hates it, but I really want to get my neck done.
Well, why did? Well, we were live. Why does she hate
I
it
love
for?
it too.
Why
I,
does she hate it?
I just no neck. Oh, uh, I don't know. I guess I don't know. It's just too spotty. I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
She kind of laughs. She thought it was funny. She thought it was funny. Well, you know what? I mean, who knows, right? I mean, listen, the future could certainly mean a lot. That's for sure. But I know one thing: this man has proven tonight why he is the Scarecrow, why he is the man that is eviler than Charles Manson, creepier than Marilyn Manson, hunts the paranormal, but moves like Rey Mysterio, and why Unholy is going to be bigger, better, and stronger in 2024, whether it's through singles gold, tag gold, or whatever else they're going to do. That's why we're looking forward to watching encounters throughout this entire next month, and especially get ready for Cold Day in Hell in February and first season of XCW, the gold standard of this sport. You can watch all those great shows on XCW Shelbyville on their YouTube page, Instagram, XCW_Shelbyville, Twitter, XC Wrestling 1, Facebook, XC Shelbyville W, and also check them out for merchandise, information, anything else on the xcwrestling1.wixsite.com/Shelbyville.
I
That's
really
all I
will
got.
say though, these encounters have been
Oh
phenomenal.
my God, these encounter shows, seriously, like every
Yes, yes.
match on there is like, it's like, I'll be honest, like they're like, there's no duds. There's no like,
It builds up. I feel like it's like a WWE superstars from back in 2009 when it came out.
I was gonna say it reminded me. Yes, it kind of reminded me of like the early days of Sunday Night Heat, Superstars when
Yeah.
Superstars came back. I would say I'm old enough to remember like when Shotgun Saturday Night first debuted, and like where it's like you're getting like main event, main event, main event, main event, main event. There's no like, okay, I'm gonna go out and go to a bathroom break. No, it's like, okay, I'm going to YouTube. Don't bother me for that half hour, and all the matches are like dream matches. They're all big matches,
Right,
which is
yeah.
why.
But like tonight, I love my match against the IW or against
The
Midwest
Midwest
Express.
Express, yeah, Jordan
The
Nets and Jason
Jackson Law
Myers. Yep.
Brogan O'Shea match was really good
Oh my
too.
God,
Yeah,
Jackson Law and Brogan O'Shea. That's a main event on an XCW premium show. That's a
yeah.
main event. You got the EBW World Champion, and then you got the Money in the Bank winner. Hello, I mean that's a main event, and that we basically got that on a throwaway show, but it's not throwaway with XCW. That's why XCW is the gold standard of this sport, and that's why again I'm continuing to tell people you got to follow XCW on all of these great platforms. Let me ask you one final question before we get to closing thoughts. Is there anything else that you want to say to anybody here that we don't know about DJ Wolbert?
I really don't know if I could really say. I don't really have anything in mind, but I mean, I guess any closing thoughts is like stay tuned, guys. Like there's a lot to come with XCW, my career in XCW, what I'll be doing. Stay tuned. I don't know if Unholy is going to work out or not, or we're going to see how that goes at Cold Day in Hell.
That's why we got to follow XCW on.
I'm not too happy about that. I'm not very not sure if I can trust my partner right now, but
I think that's the big question here. Shane Shaw is in, Jaden Tucker's out, and Shane Shaw, you guys were Splitsville 2.5 months ago, and
yeah, I'm airy about that. So yeah, that's why XCW I'm like watching my spots to see because I gotta watch Shane.
Well, you said tonight singles gold you might be looking at. Mistress Candy's obviously going to be back in the ring, possibly. I mean,
I know.
who knows?
It's like I said, it's not just me. It's Candy also. It's Shane Shaw. So like, you never know what
And
any
and
of
the
us
mis-
are doing. Like,
and the
yeah, yeah,
mistress has spoken that she's trying her best to keep Unholy going. So
yep, yep.
that's that's why she's your Candy Crush, and that's why certainly you might unleash that Candy Crush, and that might certainly be why you guys might have more success. And
We
Mr.
might
Caselli,
succeed finally. Yes, again, yes.
own obviously fiance with him in DBW, and
And
she
I
gets
really,
involved in the ring also. Yep, she gets involved in the ring also, and she's also somebody that can definitely mix it up, and who knows, maybe we'll see what the future is. Brandon XCW or anywhere else, and he says keep killing it, and also gives the horns. And by the way,
thank
he
you a
comes
lot.
out to sometimes typo negative. By the way, I don't know if you're a typo negative fan, but he
I do
comes.
know that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll say one thing quick on typo negative. I actually the guy who died in the band, who was the singer and guitarist, Peter Steele, he actually lived in the next neighborhood over from where I grew up in. He actually happened to,
Oh,
his
nice.
name, his name came up quite a bit. Peter Steele. He was actually a Parks Department worker, and then he had
Okay.
this band. Then he got signed. He was the first Roadrunner Records artist to have a gold record and a platinum record. That was typo negative. They were like they were right before like Marilyn Manson got signed to Roadrunner and Slipknot got signed to Roadrunner. He was like the precursor to that. So that's my heavy metal story. But that's here nor there. We can certainly talk a lot
I
about
could
that.
go on. I could go on for hours about metal and Halloween and
We
wrestling
can
and
do that
stuff
one
too,
time. Well,
man.
you're going to come back on the show. This is not the only time you're coming on. You're going to come on
No,
a
I
lot
could go
more.
on. And on. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And the floor is yours. Fire away.
I just appreciate you all for supporting me and everything. Like, I also want to point out the fact that like XCW, like, I do give a massive shout out to XCW.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
know running a company is not hard. I had 8 guys on my roster, and it was a fucking pain in the ass, and it was a struggle. And we got over 30 guys on the roster now, maybe.
Oh, listen, XCW, the XCW roster and the DBW roster, these companies both have over 30 people on them. And what you guys do, what Mr. Fletcher does, what Mr. Phillips does in DBW, I mean, it's really to be able to, it's like herding cats. And what you guys do is you guys, and again, I'll say it, I'll certainly say it for DBW as well, but in XCW especially, of the 30 plus guys, I would say half of them in any other promotion would be the world champion. I mean, that's how good this XCW roster is. Half to 2/3 of this roster would be the world champion in any promotion out there, hands down.
And it makes me happy to think about like the fact that people are behind me. Like I guess like I was told by one of the guys a few shows ago that they seen some random guy in Shelbyville walking on the road with a DJ Wolbert shirt on. I was like, that is amazing. To even grasp the fact that just some person that we don't know is wearing a DJ Wolbert shirt on, like the fact that's just so cool. The fact that you see somebody on the streets wearing that, it's awesome, and I'm humbled for that, and that's what keeps me going and everything. I appreciate it, guys. I don't want to keep you on here too long. I know you have things to do also.
No, it's your show. If you wanted to speak for 5, my voice wouldn't hold up. But the facts are,
I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And for Haunted Minds Paranormal, stay tuned. Our gel video, you'll get to find out everything. That'll be up on YouTube within most likely, hoping by a week from Saturday.
and share me any links. You can always DM me a link, DM me an interview, whatever it is. I'll be happy to watch it. You're always welcome to message me, tag me. Justin tags me on Instagram all the time, so you're welcome to this something.
Guys.
Absolutely, no. There's no question that listen. There's going to be a lot more people wearing DJ Wolbert shirts. There's a lot more people.
And it keeps me going. I mean, like I said, I really appreciate you having me on your show and everything.
It's the people's. No, it's not my show.
People, right. But it's people like you. We need more people like you.
Well, I'm here unless somebody wants me to retire. I'm not going anywhere. Trust me. I'm not.
We have guys like you. If guys like you leave, then the community goes down.
Well, I'm not going anywhere. Listen, I'm not going. There's no way until I get put across the street in the cemetery with my neighbors. Yeah, I mean that's when I'm going to go. But until that, no. I'm certainly planning to be around on Sportzwire Radio for a while. I'm going into my 5th year doing this on January 25th. So definitely not going anywhere. But I want people who are going to go somewhere to follow DJ Wolbert on Instagram, Graveyard Condition. Also, Facebook and YouTube, Haunted Minds Paranormal. Check him out on XCW Encounters, Episode 4, XCW Shelbyville on YouTube, XC Wrestling 1 Twitter, XCW_Shelbyville Facebook, XC Shelbyville on Instagram as well. Instagram is XCW_Shelbyville. Also, XC Wrestling 1.wixsite.com/Shelbyville for all of your XCW Wrestling information, shirts, merchandise, history, championship shows, all that's on there. Go and support this man, support this company. Also, Mistress Candy, your Candy Crush gives that. Justin Parsley says forever your brother, and he says
You too, bro. You too. That means the world to me. That means the world.
Well, he's the first real wrestler, and you are the first paranormal wrestler in XCW. So
man,
maybe I'm stick with that. The first paranormal wrestler.
Hey, that could be a shtick. Maybe. Hey, Josh.
Well, let's see how Mr. Fletcher feels about me later on. But certainly, maybe that could be it. Ladies and gentlemen, this was DJ Wolbert. Congratulations and all the success. I'm looking forward to watching you in more encounters and definitely having you on here very soon.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was DJ Wolbert, of course, the Scarecrow of XCW, also the man behind Haunted Minds Paranormal. You just saw him in XCW Encounters Episode 4. You'll be seeing him throughout the year on XCW's YouTube page at XCW Shelbyville. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, your radio station where all wrestling matters here. And stay tuned on sportswireradio.org for more coverage here. And we'll be going back to your regularly scheduled programming. Also, if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, I'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern Time with DJB of CCW. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the #1 global radio station that is Sportswire Radio. So thank you to XCW, especially Fletch, for granting us this opportunity to speak with Mr. DJ Wolbert himself of Unholy.